Good afternoon, Rosemary. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing really well. How about you? How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Just still
Good.
trying to warm up a bit. I'm hoping I can turn off the heat soon. It's
Has
been
it been cold there?
yeah. It's been a little chilly. So anyway,
We've been up and down, up and down. We were 70 the other day, and today we're in the 50s. So our weather can't decide what it wants to do. It's schizophrenic or something.
isn't the whole climate of
Yeah,
of
the
the
whole
country and
climate.
of the world, right?
Right, right.
Mother Nature lets her know her dissatisfaction as well.
Yeah.
So we
Deepak
are.
Chopra once said that when somebody asked him what's going on with the planet, why are things so crazy? He said, when we settle down, the planet will settle down.
It'll take us a while.
Yeah, it's going to take us so.
We are here for a monthly reading, in which we carry out the theme of for the year long Step into Your Authentic Self in 2025. And this week we are talking about connection. For this month, we picked out the one of the topic from the readings that we're doing in the Body of Wisdom Oracle Circle. So this is exciting. I think it's a the messages were beautiful. So we are excited to share those with you. So I am Carole Frank. I am an integrative practitioner of metaphysics with numerous certifications, and I've studied a lot of different modalities, and I'm still learning. I am passionate about creating purposeful tools that help stimulate potential growth through multisensorial experiences with the artwork and the use of fractal. I feel like they're really kind of alive messages, so that's what we call them in soulistry. And I'm happy to support clients with private and group healing sessions. I do past life card readings with mini healing sessions, and just fascinated with every time that I do a session and what comes through, because I'm just a conduit. So it's really fascinating to explore and see what is next, and always you know leads to more questions.
I am also still learning. I consider myself a perpetual professional student because I love learning. So my name is Rosemary Nevara, or Rosie. I'm a psychic medium and I tap into my aptitudes in order to communicate with all manner of beings, those who have transitioned, four-legged, pets, animals besides human, two-legged. Human birds have two legs too, right? Don't they? So yeah, I've communicated with birds. I do direct readings and I also use divination tools like oracle decks and tarot cards. Those are my favorites. I facilitate private sessions and space clearing sessions. I do energy work. I'm also very, very passionate about using my gifts to be of service to others.
Rosie is wonderful, kind-hearted individual, so we love her.
Well, we love you too.
So we will be using our decks, of course, and we'll be using other people's decks. So this is just an overlay of what the decks and cards look like. And so the topic is connection. And we introduce in the Body of Wisdom Oracle Circles, we introduce a 7-day spread, and Rosie does 7-day readings according to we've created the questions, and then Rosie pulls the cards. So this week was the first day. So the questions that we asked for on the topic of connection is, what are some ways I open my awareness to feel my connections to all things? And the card that was pulled was Prenite. And this is from
That
our
comes
Oracle,
from our, yeah, crystal
or,
deck.
right? That was beautifully um, channeled with Rosie. And so
And
the
look at
message,
this image that was beautifully created by Carole with fractals and sacred geometry.
so this is kind of a visual representation as they introduce themselves to me. And so Pranite voices a message of connection through the universal ocean of energy. Living and moving through the universal ocean of energy, we're connected. We connect to each other. We touch each other. We have the capacity to share, to exchange, share and exchange energy, information, knowledge, wisdom. We are like osmotic membranes in the ocean of energy, membranes through which all passes and intermixes. Open your awareness, sense the vibrations, now access that for which you search. So this is really talking about all the threads and interconnection, and um, I love the energy that comes through with this image. Um,
Absolutely.
it has
Absolutely.
such a vibrant green also, which in the Patreon we're talking about connection to Mother Earth. So I feel like the even the reading for the other stuff is also related to what we're doing in the Patreon for this month, and we're talking about connection with Mother Earth. And this really reminds me of a fertile landscape, and being part of that ocean of energy. So we are interdependent. We cannot live without each other. We cannot live without the trees and the food and the soil and everything has a cycle. And so we have to appreciate everything that is granted to us.
Absolutely. And that whole thing about being immersed in an ocean of energy. I remember the first time I was sleep deprived, so I might have been hallucinating. But I remember the first time that I realized that I was sitting in a field of energy. I was looking in front of me, but I wasn't. I, this is going to sound strange. You'll understand. I was staring at the space in between the space. So there was a beige wall across this room from me, and then there was me, and there was all this space in between. And I just went into this place where I was observing the space in between. And I started seeing all of these swirls and eddies and this movement. And I went like this with my hand, and you could see it was like water. And it swirled and moved in between and around my fingers, but it wasn't dense like water because it was energy. And it was like, oh my God. So I stood up and I moved around and I moved my body, and it was like, oh, this is so cool. So the only thing I could really liken it to is like when you're in a swimming pool and somebody at the opposite end of the pool kicks, the waves eventually get to you. You're connected to that other person through that wave of energy coming from the water. And so we exist in an ocean of energy that uh, can be tricky to perceive, but if you learn how you can see it and you realize you're touching everybody all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time, and everything. Can't hear you.
When I was doing the recognitive healing training, it
Uh-huh.
was really interesting because we were in a big room, hotel ballroom type thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Mm-hmm.
had people laying down on massage tables, and we were asked, the ones that were going to be practicing, we were asked to walk outside in the hallway, feet away from where the ballroom, where our table, with the person laying down on the table, and we were doing our movements in the hallway, and people were witnessing all the twitching and the energy flow that we were creating. So there's no separation, there's no barrier. So it was really, to me, it really opened my eyes in terms of, the energy is it goes where it needs to go. As you place that intention of healing or whatever you're wanting to do, it finds its it's flow. It goes.
It does. It absolutely does. I remember many, many, many years ago, many years ago, when I was a dancer. I was in a dance class, and the instructor had us sit on the floor across from another person and close our eyes, and we had to start moving. And then she would have half the students open their eyes and watch the other group, and their eyes were closed, but they were moving in sync and doing exactly the same movements. They were entrained in their movements because of the energy connectivity there. And it was fascinating. And then she also this was when they had old-fashioned video cameras, the really old, great big ones. Um, she recorded us, and it was uncanny how we were mimicking each other and our eyes were closed, but we were sensing, working with our bodies and sensing the other person's energy. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Oh, and I think that's, like the blinds, they feel the vibration, so their sense is heightened in terms of,
Yeah,
you're feeling your way through life. Um,
exactly. And the same thing with people who are hearing impaired.
right.
Before they heal it, they hear it, they can't hear it, so they feel the vibration of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, really interesting.
Yeah, so it's really about, tapping into that, knowing that we are connected, and knowing that we have information and access to knowledge and everything, that we just have to ask for it.
Right.
There's just so many different examples that we could share. Um, and I feel like a lot of times, so I was just a couple of days ago, I was in the car and I was thinking of my car started making a noise on Saturday, so I have to find a mechanic, and the mechanic that I went before, despite the name of Trusty, last time he almost ripped me off. So
Wow.
the word trusty came in my mind with thinking about the mechanic, and
Mm.
as I'm thinking that word trusty, the song that was playing on my from my iPhone, from my playlist, the word trust just came right in at the same time that I'm thinking trusty.
Oh my gosh. See, those are all synchronicities. Those are People say accidents, but they're not accidents, they're accidents. There are no accidents, they're accidents. Yeah.
So I love it when all these things just happen, because it really shows that we're just part of one consciousness, one energy
Exactly.
field, I don't know, it's just it always puts a smile on my face. And I'm like, okay, I still have to figure out the problem with the car, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's like I so my question is, can I trust you about it? So I reached out to someone I know to for a referral for a new mechanic she trusted, and she's been in this area for a lot longer than I have been.
Mm.
So
So you
double
found somebody
trust.
who's trustworthy. Yeah,
Exactly. So it's really interesting what comes up. So it's just for us to pay attention to those little things.
exactly. Exactly.
You want to take over
Sure.
the
So for
next
day
part?
two,
Yes.
yeah, day
So
two,
so day two, the question is, how will my connection, oops, how will my connection to Mother Earth support me and ground me?
great question. And the deck that came up for that was the consciousness deck, which is I love this image on the front of this. It looks like a universal mind or something. And the card that came up was One with Nature, which is really appropriate considering the question. I'm grateful. All of these cards begin with the phrase, I am grateful for. I'm grateful for the patterns of nature. As a brilliant creatrix, she holds in her hands the energetic blueprints of all living things, where the whole is reflected within its parts. Being one with nature, I see life within all things. So yeah, we're so connected. And we were just talking about that. This whole thing is going to be about connection. We were just talking about that. they're discovering the networks that trees have underground with their root systems, and they're also connected by the mycelium network from fungi, and so they communicate with each other. And this is just and by walking on the planet, by earthing, by stepping in your bare feet, we have rubber-soled shoes. And so if you can take off your shoes and walk around in the grass or on the ground, not on the concrete, in the actual dirt, you'll really feel that buzzy energy connection that you get with the planet. And they were discovering, you know what I read the other day? I read that it's been discovered that house plants react when you're like, when you can be as far away as 2 kilometers. And if you're the caregiver of the plant, it starts to react when you're in the vicinity, when you're on the way home. So even plants. And there's this new thing out called Plant Wave, where you can attach these little clips to plants and you can actually hear their songs. It's
Yeah, I
very
love
cool.
watching those. Yeah, I was putting this up because it looks like we have a little friend over here.
Yes, yes.
Can you
These
see
cards
that?
are so wonderful. Yeah. They really they're so full of imagery. And uh Jean Anne St. Grace always says she never sees the same card twice. Even if she pulls the same card twice, she never sees the same card because there's something else she notices each time she pulls it.
And
So
I
what's your
love the movement within the card.
yeah.
Um, just because they almost feel like fern leaves. Also, of some parts of it, it feels like fern leaves on this side here.
Yes, yes, like the fronds. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the I feel like the pink part is the heartbeat of being one with nature. You're with the heartbeat of Mother Earth. So you're
Absolutely.
connecting
And
to
that's what the Schumann resonance is the resonance is the vibration, the heart, basically the heartbeat of the planet. So yeah, very, very, very cool.
Okay. So day 3 is from our color deck. And the card that was pulled is Mystical Sapphire. And it's in response to the question, how can I be open to the experience of being spiritually connected to the higher realms of consciousness? I think the cards just have been perfect with this reading. It's just with this
Yeah,
card spread. And so it is about Mystical Sapphire is the qualities that are written here is spirituality, regeneration, and protection. And all of the cards are from the color deck. Start out with I am open to the experience of because I wanted to create that expansion of
right,
embracing the
exactly.
qualities and the vibration of each of the colors. So
Absolutely.
I am open to the experience of spiritually connecting to higher realms of consciousness for healing and regeneration. I know that I am always supported and protected. So it even talks about in the question, we're talking about higher realms of consciousness, and then the same words actually show up in the card.
I know it's uncanny. They work beautifully together as a team.
Yeah,
Well, then that happens oftentimes when you have the same authors creating a deck, but they work beautifully with the other decks we use by created by other authors.
right.
So they're just in sync.
That is
They're
beautiful.
they're like flashlights or like
And
a GPS that point the way.
so you mentioned, using sapphire is. I have this ring. Sapphire is one of my most favorite stone, and to me it reflects back to the third eye. The color itself is, indigo blue, and
Mm-hmm.
it brings in. That's why I call it mystical because to me that's giving you the access to beyond the veil of your third eye, going into that space of seeing beyond the veil and seeing tapping into those higher realms of consciousness and really connecting with your intuition and connecting with your inner wisdom as you're expanding your lens and expanding your perception. You're seeing the world in just a such a more expansive way, not limited
Absolutely. Yeah.
to what we're why we're on our own little world. You know, it's there's more to that just our space here. So
Exactly. And you know that sapphires have been coveted by shamanic, by people who practice shamanism and people who are spiritual leaders for a very, very long time. It's in the breastplates of the ancient breastplates that the rabbis used to wear. Israeli rabbis used to wear. They had a breastplate that had different stones in it, and it's one of the stones in there. And when I was in India, um, I saw some incredible sapphires. It's also a coveted stone there for religious purposes. So, yeah, you should be lucky enough to have sapphire, blue sapphire as your birthstone. I think is that September? I think it might be September.
not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But you could also use you mentioned deep blue stones like lazuli,
Hmm.
azurite, kyanite, sodalite. I know sodalite is good for blood pressure because I recommended it one to a
Yeah,
friend of mine one time. Um, so those can really help you reach higher realms of consciousness and just connecting to the imagery. You know, it's I have a
yeah, it's
reflection.
beautiful. And I think iolite is also a deep blue stone, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Iolite, I think. I'll have to look it up, but I think that that's it's a really, really deep colored stone. If you're feeling like you want to make that connection, you can wear clothing or you can wear those stones in jewelry or carry them in your pockets to make that connection. Or
Okay.
maybe eat some blueberries. Really dark food there is really good for you
Well,
too.
well, blueberry is known to it's really good for the brain. And
Hmm.
if you have like fog, if you're clouded or foggy, then eat
Hmm.
blueberries and it's supposed to support your your brain for that. So it's a good like I craved when I was divorcing and separating, I craved blueberries, orange juice and sardines and you know, I was trying to get rid of that fog because I had to make big decisions. So it was really interesting what I was craving.
Well, you know, your body has its own intelligence and it knew what was going on and it knew what it needed to be able to perform at its optimum. And so it makes sense. But yeah, highly encourage if you're wanting to work with colors, go to soulfuljoyfulliving.com and have a look at the different decks. And if you pick up the color deck, because there's beautiful messages and then there's information cards in there on how to use the cards and what you could do with the colors to resonate with that, to put off that, receive and exude that vibration. So yeah,
Just, you know, just really, you could just close your eyes and then just imagine that color and then just bathe in those frequencies, you know, just take it in and then quiet the mind as you're taking breath, connecting with your breath, connecting with Mother Earth, and then just, you know, see what happens in the higher realms. And it's always
right,
an
right. And if you're
invitation.
one of those, yeah, and if you're one of those people that has aphasia, which means you don't have the capacity to see pictures in your mind's eye, some people are like that, then just imagine in your body, think about the time you wore something blue and when you were wrapped up in it, how it felt. What did it feel like to you? And that'll help bring in that same sensation.
You can pretend
Or
like you're wearing
put on
a blanket. Yeah, just put
yeah,
on a
put on a blue
blanket.
blanket and see what it feels like to experience it. Absolutely.
Okay, so the next, you want to pick that one up?
Yeah, the next card is from isn't that the Grand Lux Tarot or the
Oh,
Tarot
yes,
Grand
that's
Lux?
yours.
Yeah,
Yes, I
so
don't have that
I
deck.
I messed up. I was being
Yes.
driven to pull a card, a specific tarot card. I think in tarot cards and in oracle cards, that's how my brain.
There's no accidents, Rosie.
No, that's right. They're accidents. And so this was one of my favorite decks. It's by a guy named Cyril Marchetti. He has beautiful decks out. And I was pulled to this deck. So this is called the Tarot Grand Lux. And
Okay,
the
but
card that came up was the World card. Look at her. How spectacular is she? She's pregnant too, pregnant with possibilities. And look at the energy coming off of her hands. She looks like she's coming through a portal or stepping into a portal. And if you turn it this way, look at that eye and look at the blue in the eye.
let me put the question out here, which is,
Yeah,
how can I be open to the experience of understanding my wholeness through connection? And that's the
right.
card that you pulled.
And the reason it works so beautifully with that question is this is the final major arcana card in the tarot deck, and major arcana cards are big choices, big changes, big events. There are overarching themes. How interesting that we're working with overarching themes, right? And this card, the 22, the last one, is the world. So it's about, or 21, and it's the world, and it's about being whole, being complete to the point where you're ready to level up. You've reached that milestone of completion and wholeness, and you're ready to level up to the next thing.
You get the jackpot.
You hit the jackpot. Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's asking you to take in holistic approaches and recognizing how connections have helped you with achievement, milestones, and leveling up in your journey. So it fosters more awareness, and
Right.
it looks like she's um like stepping into her reality.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Or
like
she's
coming out
coming out of
from
one reality and
right,
moving
right,
into a new one. Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I
And
feel
that's, yeah, that's like a rite of passage,
the
leveling up
arm
because she's made
extended
a,
up, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's about receiving too.
It's about receiving. And look at that beautiful shape. This is sacred geometry. This is a Vesica Pisces, which translates as fish bladder. but it's a threshold, it's a stepping through, it's a completion and connection to move forward.
So then the next card is the question for this one is how can I allow my belief system to expand so that I feel more connected? And it is from the Manifesto deck, and this is the emanation from the void is the card.
Yes, I love this card.
I just love the suspension of that it looks from it. It's like we're one,
You
we're
know what it
just
makes me think of when I looked at it, just this, like I'm like Jean Ann, I see something different every time I look at our cards. And I see a raven right here emanating from the void. And raven is one of my totems. And ravens bring messages from the void. That's what their medicine is. Raven medicine is bringing messages from the void. So how interesting that the card looks like a raven and the topic is emanation from the void. That just amazes me.
a manifested deck starts out, each of the cards start out with for the purpose of manifesting Maslow's desires. And so this one is for the purpose of manifesting Maslow's desires. I am aware that by coming onto this physical plane, I have forgotten or lost some parts of my identity. This belief has created an illusionary sense of separation. As I remember that I am connected to all that is, I intentionally weave my reality. I am a divine being emanating from the void. So it's interesting how this card also ties some of the messages from the other cards that we were talking about, her weaving the reality, coming out of into a new reality, and having that awareness that as we remember, because we come with amnesia, or we've come with not remembering what we're come here to do, and then we get the pleasure of having experiences to remind us of what we've chosen to do.
And many times I think we say, I know I do, what was I thinking? But what's so interesting is all these cards are truly connected to the topic of connection. And so it just reminds me of the idea that there's really only one of us here because we all come emanate from the same place. We are a spark of source, of creation, creatrix, creator, creatrix, and which is learning about itself by sending out sparks of itself and then taking the information that comes back to it. So yeah, we're just all connected and we come in with spiritual amnesia, trying to learn more stuff and complete what we came in to do.
I think it's part of our awakening
Mm-hmm.
is that that remembrance process.
Absolutely.
That we are multidimensional, we are that spark, part of the divine, and we hold love as the like the foundation of us is love, right? But then it's kind of
Absolutely.
like we have to remember that's we come from that, and it's sometimes
Yes,
it's a very difficult it's a difficult experience to get back to that space of love, and through the self-love then we become more loving of others, and ability to show compassion, and then create those connections, because I think the harder the lessons, the more isolated we may feel and the more separated we may feel, so we're not making those connections, and that also can attract certain kind of trauma that will reemphasize that separation of, so there's that disconnection between spirit, body, and mind and spirit. So
hmm
your experiences are, we remember that we attract what we focus on, we attract. So if we don't pay attention, we're not aware of the what we're attracting, then we're just going to keep on repeating the same thing. It's just going to be different players, but the message,
exactly.
the foundational message is the same. So until we start paying attention and recognize that we're not separate, and that we are that spark of light, I,
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that takes us into the process of remembering.
Absolutely. I think it gives us a little kick, a little boost up into to realizing that.
I
Yeah,
think the
gosh.
newer generations are a little bit quicker than
Oh, absolutely.
ours, right?
Absolutely. Well, they live in different times and they see things so differently. Wow. And the younger people, the star seeds and the indigo children and the crystal children that have come in to help us. I mean, their minds are incredible. I was a teacher for 40 years, and so I elementary, and I got an opportunity to see the evolution of different parenting styles, but also the little souls. Every single kid in my classroom was just a little soul in a body. And so I got to see how they were coming in and how they were different from the groups before. And I've always felt like that kids who have been diagnosed with ADD and as autistic, they're just vibrating on a different level than everybody else. Um, they're not disabled. They don't have problems. They just are vibrating on a different level. And sadly, our education system doesn't vibrate on a very high level. And I say that not out of criticism. I say that out of experience, 40 years of experience, and the need for mainstream thinking, consensus reality to everybody has to be the same and everybody has to think the same way and do the same thing, automatons, that, and we're
Yeah.
just not like that.
Fit into one mold. Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. We just don't. We all come in for a reason and we all bring our own gifts. Everybody has gifts to share. Um, And the kids that are coming in nowadays are very different vibration than the ones that were coming in before. So yeah, it's really an interesting thing.
So the next card is from the
Oh, I
angel
have
deck.
a, do you see the difference in our pictures on our covers?
Yes.
My little friend, when Mackenzie's almost 30 years old now, but when she was a little tiny kid, she was into Pokemon. And she said, I got you a Pokemon sticker. This is the psychic Pokemon. So anybody who has kids or were involved in Pokemon, I said, well, what should we do with it? She said, I think we need to put it on your deck of cards because you got that psychic thing. I said, okay, so my deck has Pokemon on it. I think that's
Well,
hilarious. So
the
the card
the
that came up was
question,
a hermit. Oh, what's
yeah,
a question?
let me share the question first. How can I
Hmm.
connect with my innate guidance system?
Right. So the card that came up, another major arcana card, big choices, big changes, big events, overarching umbrellas and themes. This is the Hermit. And in this deck, in Radley Valentine's deck, it's the Angel Tarot. So this particular Hermit is associated with the Archangel Radziel. And the Hermit is an individual who is deeply introspective. And through that introspection, there's an immense amount of guidance that comes in, inner guidance that comes in. And then notice he's got a cane and he's moving and he's got a light that he shines. When it's time, he moves from within to without to share guidance. He travels and he shares guidance and he shines a light to help other people see what they haven't been able to see yet. So I thought, boy, this is a great card for guidance.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what the job is of the hermit is to go inward to seek guidance from self, from higher self, from source, and then to share it with others and shine the light.
Nice, nice, beautiful. Perfect card for sure.
Perfect card, perfect card.
So the last card that we pulled is from the I Am Oracle, and it's I am an evolved soul. So to me, that's embracing all the color of the spectrum and having that spiral is just continuing on that spectrum of evolution.
Right. And then even the cover of the box
Right.
has spirals, which is, of course, fractals and sacred geometry as well. I love
And
this card.
the question is how can I cultivate a more conscious connection with my soul, which is completely adequate part as well, because the message is I am journeying into the realms of creation as one with all that is.
Right. And we're right back to where we started as being one with all that is. So it came full circle. But it came
Exactly.
full circle as a spiral because after having done the week of readings, we've leveled up. And that's
Right.
what
Right.
spirals are about.
Yeah, and I love that every time, we're doing these readings, it's we're not only offering to others the possibility of evolving, but we are continuously evolve as we're practicing those as we're connecting to those messages and I'm writing the blog from it. We're doing the readings, the video blogs from it. So it's kind of like we're connecting with we're making the connection with each of the messages as we're using them for different purposes and it's just we're just constantly evolving, sorry,
Mhm.
losing
It's a
my words
constant
here.
evolution. Yeah, it really is. And I remember when we were working together to co-create the decks with self and with higher selves. And there were some leaps that happened with that, especially when we were working on the manifestation deck. I mean, all of it was a big deal. Uh, but remember how exhausted we were working on the manifestation deck? Wow. And we
Yeah.
realized we were being pushed to expand and grow. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so we really encourage you to look, go into um, join our Facebook group, the Buzz Your Wisdom Oracle Circle, so you can really enjoy the prompts. And you can not only use the prompts for cards readings or other type of divination tools, but you can also use them for meditation. I think those are really nice queries for you to go
Yeah.
into that space of introspection and ask those questions, and then go into that meditative state and find those answers and see what message you receive, because it's um it's just pretty powerful stuff. With that, I'm always amazed how powerful the messages are when we just place a simple intention.
Hmm.
You
That's
know,
true.
it's I don't know, it's just and we don't need the all the brouhaha. We don't need the costumes. We don't need the ceremonies. We just need that connection, you know,
Exactly.
between ourselves and whatever tool we're going to be using.
And that
Establish.
connection is always there. It's always there. It's just a matter of being aware of it and noticing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
we
and
really,
these are also really good for journal. The questions are also really good for journal prompts. If you're a writer, if you're somebody who likes to write or journal or do automatic writing, you can write that question in your journal and then address it.
and if you're visual, you might also doodle, some symbols. Like I was facilitating an Akashic session not too long ago, and the person actually was what the information that came through was a drawing. So he drew the item that he
Wow,
was
that
shown.
is very cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he
So
was clairvoyant. He was a clairvoyant because he was a visual. Yeah, wow.
yeah.
Very nice.
So please, welcome to the Facebook group. We introduce a new topic every Sunday. And
Hmm.
it's a 7-day card spread that we're doing right now for the year of 2025, which is about stepping into your authentic self. And I'm sure that the messages will support you as well as the questions. And so this is what we're talking about here. And we also have spreads. If you're interested in more spreads, we carry different spreads that we've created. And we also encourage you to connect with us through the Oracle Circle, which could be a good practice of getting more in touch with your cards. Uh, if you haven't touched a deck for a while, and you might want to join us for those kind of Oracle Circle.
Or if you've
And
never touched the deck and you want to jump in with both feet,
yeah.
all levels, whether you've never held a card in your hand, to people who do readings for professionally, everybody's welcomed.
Yeah, and we do a special uh, spread for the that is to the month topic. So every time, so
Right.
it's not something you have seen in the Oracle Circle. And then we have our Patreon community. We're available there, and it just keeps on growing and growing. So this month we're going to be exploring the topic of connection with Mother Earth, and we've created some. We're sharing some interesting exercises for you to connect with Mother Earth. And also, Rosie shared an exercise of scrying with water that you might be interested in experimenting with.
That's a
I'm
form
looking
of
forward to doing it.
divination. Yeah.
Yes. So, and then we have the group session is going to come up, which I'm going to be doing on connecting with Mother Earth, and we're going to expand and release whatever is holding us back within the root chakra to really create the stability and the foundation, the anchoring to Mother Earth. So I'm looking at creating this session. So we have lots to offer. And if you're interested in connecting with us for readings, for sessions, please you're welcome to do that. This is our information. So we look forward to supporting you in any way we can.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Rosie, for this another wonderful reading that we were sharing with with our community. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the beautiful card decks and including me.
You're so welcome.
And thanks to everybody who tuned in and is
Yeah.
listening. We hope to see you at on Patreon and as well as on the Body of Wisdom Oracle Circle on Facebook.
Yes, and if you're interested, we also have a new moon circle that that I
Right.
restarted last month. So every month we're gonna have a new moon circle in the lower tier. So it's an hour. It's a very cheap investment on your part, but it can be a profound experience. And I know I
Oh,
sleep much better afterwards.
oh my gosh, we did a series of we worked with the chakras and I slept so beautifully that night after you did that session. It was wonderful. It was a beautiful, deep meditation.
Good, good, good. So we are here, whatever you want, we'll support you. Thank you very much,
Yes,
and
thank
we'll see you next month. Thanks,
you
Rosie.
next time. Yeah, thank you,
Bye.
Carole. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.